Dean Antman, distinguished faculty, graduates, and honored guests, please allow me to begin by thanking the Dean for that exceedingly generous and, I fear, largely undeserved introduction. I also want to thank our graduates for giving me the privilege of addressing you today. That said, I must confess that I stand before you today terrified. Not anxious, not uneasy, not nervous, terrified. And I don't think it is the fact that I'm speaking to a large audience. I have, throughout my career, spent a lot of time in front of audiences. No, it isn't that. Nor is it that I'm afraid of embarrassing myself. I do that all the time. I'm kind of used to it. I guess the reason I'm terrified is related to one accomplishment in my life that the Dean did not mention in her introduction. That is, I believe with a high degree of confidence that I personally hold the uncontested world record for the most number of graduations attended by any living soul. I really think this is true. You heard that I've been on this faculty for 37 years, and I guess I've attended 35 BUSM commencements during that time. There were, of course, my own graduations from high school, college, medical school, and residency. My wife and I have been together since we were kids, so I've attended all of her graduations through college and graduate school. She taught high school for 42 years and attended most of those graduations with me as her loyal supporter. So you see, we're already up to about 90 commencements, and this doesn't even include our 2 children, whose graduations I attended from preschool, elementary school, middle school, high school, college, graduate school, and law school. And they're married, so throw in their spouses. And I estimate I've attended approximately 120 commencements. The point of this is that I have therefore endured, had the privilege of hearing about 120 commencement addresses, and I remember not a word of any of them. Not a sentiment, not a phrase, not a word. Some of those commencement speakers have been old, and some of them have been young. Some of them have been very important, established figures with dignity and with gravitas, while others have not had those characteristics. Once, we had a commencement speaker here at the medical school show up wearing a clown suit. I know, I didn't get it then, I still don't get it, but it's true. A few years ago, we had Senator John Kerry as our commencement speaker, a decorated war hero who by then had served several terms in the US Senate and had run for President of the United States. He didn't win, but he did get about 55 million votes. No pressure, Bob. Now, as some of you may recall, John Kerry is a tall, rather patrician-looking Boston Brahmin who always wears impeccably tailored dark suits and has a full head of perfectly coiffed hair that is always ever so slightly windblown and rakish. I remember we were lined up for the processional, all of us dressed in our full academic regalia, and there was Senator Kerry wearing his borrowed BU red robe, but no cap. Our dean, not someone who lets a detail slip by, walked right up to him and said, "Senator Kerry, with respect, we ask everyone to wear the full outfit, gown and cap." And he said, "Dean Antman, with respect, Kerry men don't wear hats." I remember all of that, but I haven't got a clue what he said in his address. I tell you all of this because I was truly honored when the graduates invited me to speak today, but over time, I came to wonder if this was actually a gift or a curse. Because you see, I gradually, over time, became focused on, obsessed with, ultimately possessed by the need to be different from those 120 less than memorable commencement speakers I just spoke about. I wanted to say something, anything, that somebody out there would remember. Best of all, I wanted to say something that would make an enduring impression on our graduates, something that they would take with them throughout their careers. Right. Not sensible, I know, but this became my cross to bear, and I've carried it with me for months. I have had many sleepless nights. In fact, during one of those sleepless nights a few weeks ago, I tossed and turned enough that I awakened my wife, who asked me what was wrong. I told her that I was just really hung up on this commencement address thing, that I just couldn't figure out what to say, how to be different from all the others. She thought about it for a moment. This is, after all, the middle of the night. And finally said, just remember that being a commencement speaker is exactly like being the dead person at a funeral. My reaction precisely, leading me to say, this is not comforting me. Please tell me how it is that being a commencement speaker is exactly like being the dead body at a funeral. She replied, it's simple. In both cases, they can't start without you, but nobody expects you to say much. This, surprisingly, turned out to be quite useful advice, because it helped me move away from focusing on what I should tell the graduates to what I should ask the graduates. So I'm not going to tell you anything, but rather I'm going to ask you something, pose a challenge to you in the form of a riddle. And here it is. What is the question for which the degree you receive today is the answer? I guess you could rephrase this riddle by asking yourself, why am I here today? Clearly, I don't mean why are you in this place, but rather, why are you in this moment? Now, the interesting thing about this riddle is that there are no wrong answers, nor is there a single right answer. In fact, there are 160 of you in this graduating class, so there are 160 right answers. But there is a problem. This riddle is challenging, and nobody can help you with it. We, your teachers and mentors, can't answer it for you. Your classmates can't either, nor can your family and friends who are here with us today. Only you can discover your own uniquely personal answer to this riddle. Only you can dig down deep inside where you keep your most treasured dreams, where you nurture your most lofty goals, and where you drop your guard. Look into your internal mirror, face unafraid who you are and who you hope to be. I don't mean what specific scientific discipline you will pursue in your postdoctoral work or what specialty you will practice. I mean, who is the person you wish to be, and how will your work help you get to that place and be that person? It is often said that the devil is in the details, but we should also remember that the magic is in the concept, in the big picture, the one great idea that we each hold dear. This is hard stuff, but you are not unprepared. All of you have had met academic and personal challenges. All of you have had successes and failures. All of you have sacrificed much and accomplished a great deal to reach this moment. And as you move into the next phase of your journey, your entry into the grand adventure of the science and the practice of medicine, each of you will struggle. Each of you will have doubts. And at some point, each of you will stop dead in your tracks and ask out loud, what was I thinking when I got into this mess? In these difficult moments, you will be sustained by your own skill and talent, your own resilience and strength of character, the support of your colleagues, the love of your family and friends, and at the core, a belief in the righteousness of service through the health sciences and the clinical practice. I urge you to never lose sight of whatever it is that drives you to work, to struggle, and to sacrifice, because it is that North Star, that centering point that renders it all sensible and meaningful. It is not the individual experiments or discoveries, nor the particular patients, but rather the arc of your own history as you write it that will endure and become a part of who you are and what you are about. And what about this remarkable institution that is the Boston University School of Medicine? You, as members of the graduating class of 2018, you are at the beginning of your careers, while I am nearing the end of mine. What is it that binds us together? What is the shared experience of our time here at BUSM? What is it that we have in common? The cultural context within which we study and practice and work has changed enormously over the decades. Current biomedical science is almost unrecognizable from the perspective of my own start in the profession. The technology and the science of clinical practice change almost by the minute. New specialties and subspecialties have been developed. Whole new disciplines of science and research have been created. The pressure on investigators to be productive and on clinicians to provide stewardship for scarce societal resources is real and ever more intense. So, much has changed, but at the core of our experience at BU lies an eternal truth about our professions. From the earliest days of our predecessor institution, the New England Female Medical College, all the way to the present day, our school has understood its role in society as being one of offering opportunity where little or none may exist elsewhere. As scientists, we learn that our efforts to advance the frontier of knowledge have value ultimately in its application to the improvement of life for the most vulnerable among us. As clinicians, we learn that Francis Weld Peabody was correct when he sat at his desk at Boston City Hospital on our medical campus in 1926 and wrote, quote, "The secret to the care of the patient is in caring for the patient." At BU, we come to understand that our most solemn obligation, our most sacred trust as scientists and as physicians is also our greatest privilege. That we must do our best for the people we serve, not because of who they are, not because of the color of their skin or the language they speak, not because of what part of our society they may represent, and not because of their ability to pay, but just because of the fundamental humanity we all share. This is the gift of our school that spans the generations, the almost visceral awareness that each of us can be a revolutionary just by doing that for which we have studied so long and trained so hard. That we advance our science with integrity and that we care for our patients with dignity, with compassion, and with respect, simply because it is the right thing to do. This is, I believe, at the heart of what we have all learned at BU. This is what binds us together, this is what makes us special, and this is what makes us proud. If you carry this with you into your future as scientists and as physicians, I am quite certain that you will end your careers as I end mine, believing that you have done well by doing good, taking delight in the fact that you've never had an uninteresting day nor gone home without having learned something new, and that your work has been not a burden, but one of the greatest gifts of your life. I thank you for the opportunity to be a part of your commencement, and I wish you all well. Go in peace.